So my birthday was recently, and my family gave me some money to help me buy a tumbler. So as you can see, I've already started my first set of rocks. This will really be my experimenting phase, trying to just figure out everything. Hopefully it goes well, and I'll be recording my whole entire process. So this is the the most coarse grit. So I'm gonna let this go for a week and see how it is. And if the stones are smooth enough, then I'll go to the next grit. And if not, then I'll give it like another week or so. And I'm just gonna, these are just rocks that were given with the tumbler, so they're kind of like testing rocks. So I'm just gonna test them out and figure out like everything with the tumbler, how to do everything, how to just get a good feel for it, so that once I go to actual rocks that I want tumble nicely, then I know how to use this tumbler, and you guys will just join me along the journey. So my first week of tumbling is done with the first stage of grit, so the 6090 coarse grit. And I'm just going to check to see, make sure if, from what I've read, you do not want to pour this stuff down the drain. It will clog up your drain. So make sure to pour it into a colander, strain it through a colander into a bucket, and then dispose of that way. But yeah, I'm going to see if the stuff is good. If it's to the right shape, it's nicely shaped and starting to smooth off and look like an actual smooth rock, then I'll move to the second stage, and if not, I'll do another week's worth of the first stage. So let's see how everything goes. So I've rinsed off the stones, and most of them tumbled pretty well. They're still, I had to take out a little bit of, there were like some ones that just got tumbled way too small, so I'm taking those out, and there were a couple little flakes and just little bits that won't look nice once they're finished, or probably will not be, if I'm honest, will be just tumbled away. So this is what I'm left with. Some nice stuff. This is just most of this stuff is just what came with the tumbler when I ordered it. It came with like a test, basically a test run. So it just has some random stuff like Dalmatian jasper and like snowflake obsidian. And then there are a couple things that I threw in, like I had a couple pieces of sodalite that I threw in, and I threw those in. And I had a couple pieces of tiger's eye, which actually turned out, and they're looking very nice. They were like super rough, and they're like nicely shaped now. And a lot of it's actually turning out pretty well. There were just a couple small flakes of stuff that I needed to take out. But yeah, it's looking really cool, really good. So I'm actually gonna, the stuff looks good and ready to go to the second stage. So I'm gonna go to the second stage. Now there are some rocks that I don't think will look very nice, but I'm just gonna keep them in there. This was like a piece of quartz that I found that actually had some purple coloration, but it looks like it was just only on the outside, and it got worn away to just a like dirty kind of smoky quartz core. So, but I'm gonna just keep that in there so that there's weight. And actually, interestingly enough, I had put in a pretty good sized piece of calcite, and it's like 1/3 the size. But I think that makes sense, since calcite, if I remember correctly, is softer than most of the other rocks that are in here, which are on the higher end of the Mohs scale. Well, not on the higher end, but higher than calcite, right? So, but it's looking nice. Like, there's some nice pieces coming out, like this piece of jasper. I believe this is jasper. This looks like jasper. It's really nice. It's got a couple like fissures that have been filled in with agate, and there's even, if you can see, there's even a little bit of fortifications in some of the agate lines, so that's pretty good. And I got some other interesting things. This I'm pretty sure is like unikite with epidote, tomato, you know. Here's another piece of that kind of stuff. And it's looking really cool. I'm actually quite excited. It worked out pretty well. So I'm gonna go to the next step. Oh, this is another interesting one. I think this was like forget what it's called, but it's like a bunch of small like fossilized shells. And there's usually, I think it's either agate or or calciny. I guess it would be calciny or calcite that fills some of the voids, and there's a little bit of like bubbly goodness that kind of got worked into the rock. So I'm gonna get the stuff moving. I think this is some kind of tiger's eye, maybe green tiger's eye. It's got the same kind of fibrous, kind of shiny feel to it. Here's another piece. I think this is like a green tiger's eye, which is kind of interesting. I know there are different types of color of tiger's eye. But yeah, I'm gonna move this stuff to the second stage because it worked out, and I'll record the next set after this. So here we are with week 2 with the second stage being done. So we're gonna see what it looks like. I had to, since the stuff had gone worn out, I had to add some plastic beads to the mix so that I was keeping the same volume and the proper amount of volume in there so that the stones could properly tumble. And I believe that's all the stones. Let's rinse this off. That's a little too quick. Just rinsing off the stones, make sure to get off all the grit and stuff, so that none of the grit gets into the next stage when we move to the next stage. So this was the second stage that we completed, and it looks like it's done its job, smoothed out the stones and stuff like that. Like the first stage, it definitely turned the stones from what I would call rough, gravelly material to a much more polished material. It's a little hard with this tub. Let me just, I'm just gonna rinse this stuff properly. It's kind of hard to hold the camera and do this with one hand, so I'll be back in a second. So I got everything properly rinsed off, and it looks like the second stage was a success. There was still a little bit, of course, of weight loss on these stones, but overall it looks like most of them kept the same shape and similar size, just a little smaller than before when I put it in for the second stage originally. But it's looking really good. I'm pretty impressed with the stone, so I'll be moving them onto the second stage. Sorry, not the second stage. The third stage of tumbling. It looks like some stuff was pretty. There was like this one, if I remember correctly, was much bigger than last time. So it looks like there are a couple of pieces must have been softer than the rest, similar to this calcite and stuff. That's softer than like these jaspers and tiger's eye and stuff like that. So, but it's looking good. So I'm gonna move to the third stage, the pre-polish stage. And that'll go for a week, if I remember reading correctly. That will go for a week. And then after that, it's one more week of polishing. And then these stones should be done. And hopefully you guys will be able to see the final product. So my third stage is done for my rock tumbling. My first set of stones that I'm tumbling. So I'm now going to strain them out and see how they did. I've already done the first two stages, And I'm gonna see if everything's good, and if it's good to go to the final stage, the polishing stage. Everything looked good last time when I checked them, so let's check out in this stage now. Double check that there's no stones in there. Good. Now let's give them a rinse. They lost a lot of weight, so I had to put in a decent amount of pellets, right? And I'm just giving them a rinse now. And the pellets too, I guess. But right now, like from what I've read, you should keep your pellets separate so that sometimes the pellets will carry grit on them. So you don't want that grit to get intermixed, right? So let's turn that down a bit. You don't need that too loud. They look really nice. They look nice and properly polished. They feel smoother than last time, which is good. There's still a little bit of pitting like on this one, but this one just has like some kind of porous material in the jasper, which is okay. Like, I don't mind that things aren't exactly perfect. That shows that it's natural, right? And I actually prefer that a little more than something being perfect. But anyways, looks like this stage was a success. Now, from what I read, if this stage worked out properly, there should be... Let me try and dry this off. Give me a second. I need to dry my hand. Holding the camera and drying the stone in the other hand is a little hard. Yeah, and it looks like it's give me a second. It's almost dry. It's a little bit hard. It looks like it's supposed to have a satiny finish. So it almost looks polished, but it's not fully polished, right? So it looks good. Looks like everything's working out. Looks like stones aren't too bad. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, looks good. I'm pretty impressed with this. So I'll give them a final rinse, dry them off, separate them from the plastic beads, and then do the final stage, which is the polishing stage, of course. So let's get these nice and polished so that they'll look nice without being wetted down. They'll have that nice wet look without having water on them. So I'm pretty impressed so far. Thankfully, like, I've been reading some stories of like stuff not going good for people, so I'm pretty happy that it's been going okay for me, and like I've not had any real troubles. So that's good. So I'm done my polishing stage today. So let's see if they if the stone's polished properly, then I'm done. If they're nice and smooth but they're not super glossy, then I have to do a burnishing stage. So let's see. Today is the moment of truth to see if I have to do one more stage or if I'm done with these stones. There we go. Well, it's interesting. I noticed that some of the grit seems to have like a foam buildup. I don't know if that's because I have too much air in there and not enough liquid, or like the reason behind it. But let's get these all nice and rinsed off. They look nice. They feel nice and smooth. I'll have to dry them off to even see, like, actually see if they're properly polished. Some of these will be interesting because some of them, like this one, feels like a much softer rock, so it doesn't feel as tumbled, and that's just because of the material, right? And this is a similar rock to that one, but this one has a lot more. I think it's like calcite or like quartz in it, so it feels much more smoother. So it's just also like the type of mineral in the rock will determine if a rock is smooth or not. It's a good polish, or good rinse off. I think that's good. I'm gonna dry these off. I'll dry one off. Let's see. Let's do. Where's that cool piece of jasper? I like this piece of jasper a lot. I'm gonna give it a good dry off. Let's see what happens. And it's got that nice polish. It's not like, I don't think it's dull. I can see the light reflecting in it, so I think it's good. Yeah, and the camera's picking it up nicely. Yeah, this is a cool piece of jasper because it's got basically cracked, and then quartz came in, or chalcedony came in and filled the cracks up. It's got that. Well, that worked out. Now I just have to check for all the other ones. Well, thank you for coming along with me on this journey. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was very educational for myself. And I've already got other stuff lined up to go. So I'll probably get that started like tonight or something. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Hopefully the rest of the rocks are like this, nice and shiny and polished. That would be nice. But yeah, thank you for coming along with this journey. If you enjoy my videos, please do like them, and also if you want to watch more of them in the future, please subscribe. And thank you for coming along. Actually, before I leave you guys off, one more thing. I just wanted to actually show you guys all of the rocks once they were done, like properly dried off, so that you could see. Most of them took a really nice polish. Like you could see, like these are nice and polished. There are some like this, I believe this is, what is it called, Mookite or something like that. That it took a duller polish. So I read up on, there are sometimes stones won't take the polish as nicely and they'll just be smooth, like this obsidian. And I think it just depends on, like, sometimes you just need to do a little more with them, or it's actually much better to just tumble, like let's say with obsidian. I think you should just tumble obsidian with obsidian to make it easier on yourself. But yeah, of course, this was just a practice bag that they sent me with a couple extra stones that I just threw in for fun. Of course, calcite, it's super soft, so it did not take a polish at all. It just got roughed up. So, I mean, I'll probably throw this in one time when I actually do like tumble a whole bunch of calcite. If I do that, this was my piece of feldspar and smoky quartz, and it almost has like the feldspar bits almost have like a moonstone kind of shine to them. It's kind of hard to tell. I hope the camera picks this up, but this bit right there, it's got this like amazing, like almost like moonstone glow to it. Some other interesting bits, like of course I mentioned this jasper already. Like most of the stuff took a polish really nicely. Like this Dalmatian jasper is kind of hit or miss. It's like sometimes one side is not as polished as the other side, and then the other side is nice and polished and it's got a nice sheen to it. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this jasper kind of was a fail, but that was because it was pitted and full of like other soft minerals and stuff like that. So I'm fine with that. That's okay. Like there's no winning with that one. But actually, I was surprised. The one I mentioned that felt like it wasn't going to be very polished is actually not that bad. It's actually the so this is like a bunch of fossilized shells. It's actually the insides of the fossilized shells that are soft, so they got undercut. Whereas this piece, which is the same stuff, has, I think, much more like, I think it's chalcedony, or it's calcite. I think it's chalcedony, because it's polished up nicely and it's not rough. This has much more chalcedony in it, so it took a better polish. But both of these actually polished up okay, so I'm pretty happy about that. The amethyst polished up nicely. It's got a nice shine to it. Yeah, overall, I'm pretty impressed. I'm definitely going to start my next round of rocks soon. And then, of course, these I'll keep off to the side for future projects, I guess, to figure out how to properly polish them. But yeah, it's been It's been a lot of fun using this rock tumbler.